So this is very important as we, face this 50th Earth Day. And I think one of the health crisis, has been the fact that because of decreased human activity, we can actually see a change in the environment, a measurable change in certain types of pollutions, particularly in the cities. In fact, the United States isn't, the pollution is all over the world. We're not the only country that faces air pollution, but I heard today that in some of the cities in India, for the first time in 30 years, people can see the Himalayan mountains because of the coronavirus crisis. People have stopped driving, and it has had an immediate impact on the environment. So we do see that by changing our behavior, it can have an ameliorating impact on our environment. And lastly, I say, as we fight against global warming, as we fight against climate change, we must also fight against environmental racism. The fact of the matter is that many of these Superfund sites, not only in New Jersey, but across the nation, are located next to Black and brown communities and have been having an adverse effect on those communities for many decades. Believe it or not, nearly 35 years ago, when I was the national director of the Commission for Racial Justice Community Organizing Program, I worked alongside of Dr. Lee, who was the first one to match zip codes with Superfund sites and in fact prove this issue of environmental racism and the fact that many of these sites, not all of them, but a great majority of them, and certainly a disproportionate number of them, were located either next to African American communities, Latino communities, Native American communities, and poor communities of all races. So I call on everyone to unite. Let us understand that all these issues we fight around are interrelated, and that the issue of climate justice and environmental reconstruction is one that we all must engage in.
All right, thank you, Larry. Well, no questions have come in for you. So you have 2 more
Good.
minutes. You have 2 more minutes.
2 more minutes. Well, I just want to say, I don't want to be redundant, but to reiterate the fact that climate change, climate justice, the reconstruction of our environment it's an issue for all of us. One of the realities of our movement has been like certain issues are for certain people and other issues are for other people. And say, for instance, the issue of police brutality, many people see that as a Black issue. And some people have seen the issue of environmentalism as being a white issue. Environmental justice and the fight against global warming is everybody's issue, regardless of color, regardless of race, regardless of ethnicity, regardless of gender and gender orientation. We all have to breathe the air. We all have a right to clean air. We all have a right to clean water. We all have a right to food that comes from land, from soil that has not been contaminated. These are human rights that all of us have. So we all must work together to fight global warming, to fight against climate change. I want to just give a shout out to all the people that have been in the fossil fuel divestiture movement. When I was in college, we were fighting to get Princeton University to divest from companies that were doing business with South Africa. It's been 40 years since I graduated from college, and people have come to see that not only do these multinational corporations hurt people abroad, they also hurt the people at home. And the role that the fossil fuel industry has played not only in polluting the environment, but fighting against reforms for cleaning up the environment has been so dangerous that people have mounted a divestiture movement. And I salute those young people on college campuses all around the world who have fact either gotten their colleges to partially or fully divest the university portfolio from stocks of fossil fuel companies.
All right, thank you, Larry. As always, our next senator from the state of New Jersey, Lawrence Ham. All
Thank you.
right, Zena.
Okay, thanks, Nikki, and thank you, Larry. It's always scary to speak right after Larry Ham, but I'm going to try to do my best. My name is Zena Spizakis. I'm a mom. I'm a first-generation immigrant. My parents immigrated to this country in the 1970s. I work in clean energy, and I spent a couple of decades building and operating companies, actually on Wall Street. So you could say I know how everything works, and I kind of like to think that I'm able to understand how to dismantle something that's wrong and build up something that's right. I'm running because I have children, frankly. I'm not the type of person to be running for office, but I read the UN's IPCC report that came out probably 18 months ago at this point. And at the time, it terrified me because I also study the science at Johns Hopkins. And it didn't terrify me because it said we had 12 years to really get our act together. The thing that really scared me is that every single climate model that I've ever analyzed has entirely overestimated the amount of time in which we have to react. We simply, this is unprecedented. Scientists don't know how to model this properly, and scientists are conservative by nature. Things are happening a lot faster than we have ever imagined, and that is terrifying to me. And that's not something that's necessarily well known, but that got me going. And so I looked around, and I voted Democrat for years, solid blue. And, if I'm voting Democrat, if I'm voting with, for someone with a D next to the name, they better be doing something to protect our future, right? I'd like to say there are two types of Democrats. There are the ones that actually do something, and then there's the climate delayers. And unfortunately, I'm running one that has delayed action for decades. I'm running because the politicians have we've known about this for decades. The laws of physics don't wait for anybody. And the longer we wait, the harder it becomes. I'm running because politicians are perfectly okay poisoning children as long as the profits keep coming in, because they accept contributions from big oil or big pharma in the case of Medicare for All. Right here, even in my own district, Kearney, New Jersey, there is a landfill that's spewing hydrogen sulfide, which, if not many people know, that is a World War I chemical weapon. And that's what these kids are breathing right a few miles from me. I'm running because the climate crisis is going to affect frontline communities first. Don't kid yourself, it's getting to everybody. And it is not only an environmental issue, it is a medical issue. It is a foreign policy issue. It is an economic issue. It pretty much touches every issue out there. And I'm running really because the fossil fuel company doesn't need hundreds of billions of dollars in annual subsidies. It's a 200-year-old industry. We should take those subsidies and move them into renewables. I'm also running because there isn't enough R&D going into renewable technology. And quite honestly, having worked in clean tech, I realized we've got about 95% of the technology we need to solve this, but we have just lacked the political will. And the thing that gets me really angry is that in the 1970s, ExxonMobil did some of the first climate research in the world. And their models predicted quite accurately what would happen to not only CO2 levels, but also as a result to global warming. And they used that information and they weaponized it. And they weaponized it by funding disinformation campaigns, by funding politicians enough so that they could, wait a few years before climate action is taken. And it is unfortunate that it has taken a pandemic to show, to really show the cracks in the system. What we have seen over the last 5 weeks is CO2 levels not decelerating. What we have seen is particulate matter. If you go onto NASA's website, the air is cleaning up. We can do this, and we know how to do it, and we have the technology. And quite honestly, fossil fuels are in a long-term structural decline. Larry mentioned that oil has tanked. It has. Yesterday, or rather the day before, oil went actually negative. And the simple reason is because the only people who are buying oil right now are refineries. And refineries have to store that oil somewhere. And all their tanks are full because nobody is buying gas. And the other thing that's really, what I hear is like, well, what's going to happen to economic growth if we start, investing in clean technology? What has happened since 2016, if you look at economic growth and the emissions in the United States, it has decoupled. Clean energy is economic growth. You don't need fossil fuels to keep economic growth going. And especially here in New Jersey locally, New Jersey has some remarkable offshore wind resources. And if you actually look at the price of utility scale wind, it's cheaper than the most efficient natural gas plant. And the reason why we haven't started pushing into this is because there is corporate money in Congress. So I'm going to give out a shout out to all my not me, us candidates. None of us are taking corporate cash because we're all working for all the right reasons. And that is for the people, for the working families, and for the future of our district and of our country. And finally, I'm running so I can help implement some of the policies that we're going to need in the Green New Deal. And at the same time, transition a lot of those workers into renewable technologies, into infrastructure projects, and into, frankly, safer jobs, union jobs that cannot be exported easily. With that, I think I've got like a minute or two left, Nikki.
All right, well, you haven't had any questions in. I don't know if you want to take the next, you have 3 more minutes. I don't know if there's anything else you want to add, because, Zena is, she is part of, the brand new Congress. She is, biggest supporter of the Green New Deal I've ever met. And I am very proud to say I get to vote for her on July 7th.
Right. Yeah. Thanks, Nikki. Yeah. I want everybody to understand that, we're investing in green technology and really transforming our economy into a society that is not only decarbonized and sustainable, but also just for every American, regardless of who they are and where they came from or who they love, is entirely possible. We just need the political will to get that done in DC. So with that, thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much for your time, Zena. Next, I'm going to turn you guys to Russ. Russ is running in NJ6.
Hey, Nikki, thank you so much. Do you hear me? Yeah. Okay. Zena,
Yes,
that was great. Thank you, Zena and Larry, for running, because now is the time for justice, environmental justice. So I guess really just quickly, my name is Russ Cirincione. I'm running in Middlesex and Monmouth, New Jersey 6th District. So happy Earth Day to everyone. It's the 50th anniversary of Earth Day, but on this day, we have to remember that we only have until the 60th anniversary of Earth Day to fulfill all of its promises of a clean and beautiful and really inhabitable, vibrant world. And what we do now over the next 10 years will shape the rest of human history. No joke. I am also running because my son is turning 3 in June. For me, the climate catastrophe that we're about to face is the greatest concern for our shoreline district here. New Jersey 6th District has 37 miles of coastline. And what's at stake for our country and our district? I mean, right now we're going through a pandemic. These sorts of things are made worse by climate crisis. Warm climates are catastrophic multipliers. Diseases like COVID-19 and others, their deadliness increase in warm climates. And New Jersey, we're already dealing with the climate crisis. We're the ground zero. Honestly, we're going to be the worst affected state in the union, besides maybe Florida. We have already seen 1.5 foot sea level rise. We saw a 2-degree rise in temperature already. And we have, by 2035, we have 25,000 homes or $10 billion property value in New Jersey are going to experience biweekly flooding, meaning every time you get a paycheck, homes at the Jersey Shore are going to be flooding. And we have terrible air quality here. We get an F rating from the Lung Association. We're going to lose millions in tax revenue. Our $45 billion a year tourism industry is at stake. Look, it's so devastating, our future right now, with the climate crisis on our doorstep, that I don't think, honestly, don't have to remind people about Hurricane Sandy and how much it destroyed our homes here. It attacked our very way of life. There are still people in our district that are not in their homes because of Hurricane Sandy. And I mean, also our health, the health of the earth, that's directly related to the health of all people on earth, right? If the earth is polluted and dirty, if there's smog, we breathe it in. These particles stay with our bodies for the rest of our lives. And that's a huge cause on a lot of illnesses. So if we want healthy Americans, which we all do, we need a healthy earth. And addressing the climate crisis with a Green New Deal is so exciting because we have the greatest opportunity to do what is right. It's not only about shifting to renewable energy, like what Larry said. It means working to undo the harms of environmental racism and ensuring justice for our communities, our frontline communities, communities of color, of Native Americans, people with disabilities, children, seniors. All of these people deserve justice, and we can achieve it with a Green New Deal. And right now, it's the worst part of it. Our government is really making the entire problem worse, right? We're funding fossil fuel companies with subsidies. Our government's tolerating an industry that has absolutely no value to the planet, right? The fossil fuel industry is just producing a product, right? It kills people, it kills our planet, and the worst thing is our government's funding it, and we are on the hook. Hardworking American taxpayers are on the hook for funding the cleanup. The BP oil spill, we paid for that, $15 billion. Hurricane Sandy cost New Jersey $40 billion to clean up. We pay for that. These fossil fuel companies get full tax deductions on the cleanups. They do not value our planet at all. But we have a slate of candidates here, and not the not me, us candidates. We value our earth and our people here as number one. That should be our sole concern. And protecting our communities, our homes, our children, our people, everything that we love is on the line in this next election. No joke. We have in New Jersey, our elected officials right now, they may have a Democrat next to their name, but they're, for the most part, all climate deniers and climate minimalists. We need to do what it takes to go 100% renewable energy, create a Green New Deal that will create millions of jobs in this nation. And honestly, we could create 1 million jobs in New Jersey. And the Green New Deal at its core is an economic stimulus package. We need this right now. A federal jobs guarantee will create millions of careers. We've done this in the past during the Great Depression. We hired millions of people. We even hired them to plant trees. We hired 1 million youth in New Jersey to rebuild our parks. We built schools, roads, bridges, hospitals. We built airports, borough halls, the boardwalk, parks, state parks, rec centers, so many public things that we still use today were built during the original New Deal. And that's why it's important to know that we've done something like this in the past. We even commissioned the arts. We beautified our public spaces, murals, Edison Park in Plainfield, the Green Brook Park, the Metuchen Library, the Lincoln Tunnel. These were all New Deal projects. We're going to do a similar thing in a just and fair way to be inclusive. We're going to invest billions of dollars a year that instead of giving it to big oil, we're going to invest in American people. We're going to create the jobs of the future, the careers of the future, because fundamentally we can ask, how can we as a nation be ready for the future if we're not building the careers of the future? These are going to be wide-ranging careers. We're going to need cleanup crews, HR people, supervisors, managers, accountants, engineers, people to work in construction. And what's really exciting, this is a true democratically done program. Our communities, every congressional district is going to get together and decide what projects we want to build first. We're going to build schools. We're going to build community-owned renewable energy windmill farms. There's 45,000 dams in the U.S. that need hydroelectric power. There's another 80,000 sites that we could put hydroelectric generation plants. Offshore windmill farms that Zena mentioned will be a huge benefit to New Jersey. We already have one being built in Atlantic City, but we should build 10 more up and down this coastline. Each one hires 5,000 community local jobs. We're going to clean up our communities, rebuild our crumbling infrastructure. We can build high-speed rails, which I'm very excited about because we desperately need transportation overhaul in New Jersey. We have some of the longest commute times in the country, and if we build high-speed rails, we're going to cut those down. And really, we're talking about addressing all of the crises of our time in a large package stimulus plan. And we're going to phase out the old, dirty, polluting energies, replace this outdated technology with the new, green, clean, limitless energy sources that are going to set us up for the jobs of the future. It's going to cut our electric bills by at least 50%, because these projects have a one-time startup cost and then they're just low maintenance costs. And if we have them set up to benefit the communities, we can provide this energy at cost. It's already been done in parts of California where they've cut their electric bills by 80% by going 100% solar. We started doing this in Piscataway. They have to start buying their energy from renewable energy sources. That was a mandate by the people. And I'm excited about the Green New Deal because of the opportunity it presents for everyone. Environmental justice, economic justice. This is really what democracy was supposed to be. And what's really amazing is that all of these policies poll above 80% with people in this congressional district, with Democrats in this congressional district. This is an issue that we care about the most here. And I don't want to go over my time. So I'm really thankful for this chance to speak to everyone. This is about a movement, not a moment. And we're going to make the real structural change that we need up and down the ballot in Middlesex County, Monmouth County, and New Jersey.
Well, thank you so much, Russ. Now we're going to take it back to North Jersey, another county that deals with the flooding, such as Monmouth does. I'm going to take it to Roger. Roger is running for one of the Hudson County freeholders, and he is in District 6.
District 8.
Oh, District 8, I'm sorry, District 8, sorry.
Okay. First of all, thank you. The pleasure is all mine for being here and sharing this with you guys. So first, I've been an asthmatic my entire life. I've struggled breathing. I've struggled with allergies every year. It's always a struggle because as the climate gets worse, my allergies gets worse. And there's actually science to prove that with climate change, as it gets worse every year, people's allergies are getting worse. And then to make it worse, you have North Bergen recently last year tried to propose a giant gas-powered power plant here in North Bergen, right down by Tunnelly Avenue, that would have increased greenhouse gases, I think, by like almost 40%. We already have, according to the American Lung Association, air quality that's a grade F in Bergen County and Hudson County. It was outrageous to me. I was completely outraged that the mayor of North Bergen, who's also the senator of this district, Mayor Sacco, Senator Sacco, and none of the freeholders had a peep to say about what was going on here, or anyone else really in Hudson County. Hudson County was a complete dead silence when it came to this power plant that they were building here. And of course, I think what they were all concerned with is the $5 million in revenue that they were going to receive for building this power plant. So it doesn't matter that like frontline communities, as the previous candidates had just said, are the first to be exposed to environmental pollution like this, and environmental racism, you can even call it, because it always happens in communities with high amounts of immigrants. In this particular, my particular district here in North Bergen, we have 70% Latino population. Okay, and a lot of them are just not being engaged. Our politicians don't engage them. Our politicians don't really care too much about the environment. You had Russ say a little bit earlier, our politicians have a D next to their name. They're supposedly Democrats, and you would think that they would be liberal on this issue and they would care about the environment, but they don't. And so that's one of the main reasons that I'm running. I cannot believe that things like this continue to get proposed, that continue to get passed. I mean, Zena just said it. They just passed. They're going to do one of these gas power plants in Kearney, and Kearney's right down the block. It's not like we don't breathe the same air. It's very close. We're in the same county. It's unbelievable that you don't even get input from residents. Like, people just don't have a say in it. You know, even the mayor himself was like, well, he's like, I guess it's happening. The mayor of Kearney, he's like, I guess it's going to happen, but he would have preferred to have renewable energy. We all need to be pushing for renewable energy because we're running out of time. I think we're pretty much out of time. There's no more debate on this. Climate change is real. It's happening right now, and we need to do everything in our power, whether you're running for Democratic committee here on a local level or you're running for president of the United States. It doesn't matter what you run for. We need to start building the infrastructure on every level of government, or else we're never going to get a Green New Deal. We need Democrats like us, Democrats who are progressive and are trying to push an environmental agenda everywhere and anywhere that you can get a seat, even if it's on the school board, even if it's for sheriff. I mean, literally anything that you can run for to get a progressive voice in government, we need a seat at the table. That's why I'm running. I'm running to have a seat on the table. And I'm running to make things easier for people like Zena, for people like Hector Segarra, and for people like Larry Ham to be able to have the infrastructure they need at every level of government to pass the agenda. We cannot be arguing about this anymore. We can't have conversations about whether, you know, it's too expensive, whether maybe it's not feasible. I hate the word feasible. It doesn't matter how much it costs. Clearly, money is not an issue when it comes to bailing out big banks. Money is never an issue when it comes to $3 trillion this recent bailout has caused us. Nobody asked how much how we're going to pay for it. We're talking about the survival of the planet. That's how serious this is. We're talking about environmental climate catastrophe. Okay. And once you have runaway climate change, there's no going back. There's no like, oops, we made a mistake. Let's pour all our money into it. Let's pour $10 trillion to save the planet, because no matter how much money you pour into a fire that big, you're not going to be able to put it out. And what Hudson County needs to be doing at this moment is planning for resilience, because we are so past the point where we needed to really affect structural change on an environmental front. Like, we're still fighting with Congress, and the president, forget it. That's not even a mention. And who knows when we'll get a progressive president. So who knows when we'll get the Green New Deal. And meanwhile, we're still racing toward climate catastrophe. So the sooner we can get anybody at any level of government to fight for climate justice, let's do it. Especially if you're Latino, if you're a person of color, we need everybody out there to feel like, hey, there's people out there who are representing me. I am super grateful for everybody who's in the environmental movement. Absolutely. I'm super proud to be running with someone like Ileana Little, who's an environmental scientist. So proud. But we need more people in this. We need people championing these things on every front for every community, especially the ones that are most at risk. So in a nutshell, that's why I'm running. That's why I'm passionate. It's about me. It's about all of us. It's about seniors. It's about children who are living with asthma. It's about the coronavirus, okay? Because people who have asthma, people who have respiratory issues because of climate, because of all of this pollution, this air pollution that we have in this country, especially in New Jersey, people are dying at faster rates who have respiratory illnesses. And it's to no fault of their own. They were born into it because they were born in these frontline communities. To me, that is unbelievably unfair and highly immoral. And we need to stop that immediately. That's what we need to be fighting for. I'm not sure how much time I have, but I just said it.
Oh, no. You actually have another 5 minutes.
Excellent. Okay, great. So in terms of what I think we should be doing as freeholders is we should be fighting for money to be allocating to these programs, to resiliency. As Russ said, we just had Hurricane Sandy not too long ago. I mean, it feels like a lifetime ago, but really it was just a blink ago. And we're still not doing very much around Hudson County to plan toward resiliency. We still have communities all over the waterfront here. Palisade General Hospital, right down the river where I was born, North Bergen. That's right on the water. What are we doing for all those houses on the waterfront? What are we doing to move away from fossil fuels. We're not doing enough. I mean, we should be having all of our municipal buildings. We should have all of our public fleets, our buses, our everything that we possibly can. We should be moving to electrify, and we should be building more electric vehicle charging stations. Everything that we can do, and we need to work at every level of government toward this grand goal. Like, this should be a priority. Like, our house is on fire, and I just don't see it on a local level. We can yell until our lungs and our face are blue that we want President Trump to do something, or we want Congress to do something, and I think they would. And what we're doing is we're fighting to get these congressional heroes into office, and we're winning on some fronts. We've gotten some people in there. We got people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who proposing the New Deal. That's revolutionary. So now we need to help them build the infrastructure at every level of government to make sure that we're fighting for these programs, that we're fighting for this money, to get this money invested in the right places, that we're pressuring and we're holding the governor of New Jersey accountable when he says, oh, I'm going to be the green governor. Okay, so then prove it. Show us how you're the green governor. Why are you allowing this New Jersey transit grid power station in Kearney to get built? Do you think that just because you said no to the North Bergen power plant, that this is not the same thing? I mean, or because because the project has a solar field. That solar field that's part of the project, if you read the article, is only going to account for 1/100th of the energy needs that project is supposed to generate. 1/100th. So that 99/100th is still being produced by gas. And that gas is being burned, and it's being released into the air, increasing greenhouse gases that we already are the leaders in the country on. And we're talking about Hudson County here. Hudson County, who already has a great air quality for breathing air. And we have high cases of asthma. We have high cases of cancer. And it's just unbelievable. If they really want to build a backup generating station for New Jersey Transit, I'm pretty sure we can get the best and brightest scientists to go and propose better solutions. And if it costs a little bit more, it's going to cost us less in the long run. It's going to cost us less in hospital bills. It's going to cost us less in people dying prematurely, or having to spend a lot on healthcare because of all the health issues that they've gotten for breathing this disgusting air, not to mention the water. So thank you. I mean, that's really all I want to say. I'm very, very passionate about the environmental things that are going on in this county. And I think someone's got to fight for it.
Thank you so much, Roger. Yes, we definitely do have to fight for it. Cancer rates have been going up progressively in Hudson County for decades. And, I think all you guys running, and by the way, there's 6 freeholders running in Hudson County. So not 1, not 2, 6 running together under Not Me Us. And most important, on line A. So that first line on the ballot is going to be
Yes.
Hector. It's going to be all 6 freeholders. So make sure on line A you vote for them. And now I'm going to actually pass it over to another Hudson County freeholder, Eliana, who is running on District 4.
Thanks so much, Nikki. My name is Elena Little, and like you just said, I'm running in District 4 for Hudson County Freeholder. This topic is especially important to me on a personal level because environmental and climate issues were really the major reason why I became interested in politics in the first place. Professionally, I'm an environmental engineer. I have my master's degree in environmental engineering from UC Berkeley and my bachelor's from here in New Jersey at Rutgers. And I've also worked as an environmental consultant in wastewater treatment and stormwater management and earned my professional engineering license. So it was very frustrating for me to see elected officials not taking environmental issues and climate action seriously. At the federal level, as everyone here has said, I wholeheartedly support the Green New Deal. As the IPCC has noted, we need to overhaul multiple systems from transportation to energy to land use and agriculture and more at an unprecedented scale in order to limit climate change to 1.5 degrees Celsius or lower. We need to treat this like we're fighting the Great Depression and World War II and make sure that we're centering low-income communities and communities of color who will be most impacted, and we're not doing any of that. So it's crucial to get strong advocates for a Green New Deal and climate justice elected to federal office and send Bernie's delegates to the DNC to push for a forward-thinking climate platform. But what can we do at the local level in the meantime? Should we just wait until we get a Green New Deal if we ever do? No, we shouldn't. And why not? Because the cost of inaction is too great. With climate change, it's many times less expensive and damaging to invest in resilient infrastructure now than to try and repair the damage and rebuild our communities after the next crisis. So when people say, where's the money going to come from? Well, where's the money going to come from in 10 years when we're rebuilding from scratch? We need to invest now. By 2050, if we take no action, New Jersey is projected to suffer 1.3 to 3.1 billion in annual hurricane-related damages on average beyond our current level of risk. So that's an additional 1.3 to 3.1 billion each year. And nearly half of that is projected to be right here in Hudson County. So we need to make smart investments now at the county level to protect against flooding and to make our communities climate resilient. We need to build both green and gray stormwater infrastructure to mitigate combined sewer overflows during increasingly frequent and increasingly intense storms. And we need to do this before the next Superstorm Sandy. And we also have to take steps locally to combat climate change. With a lack of federal leadership, the duty falls to states, cities, and counties. We can set a target of net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2030. We can establish a Hudson County Community Choice Aggregation Program similar to Piscataway, New Jersey, to allow residents and businesses to choose clean energy. And I also want to invest in our transportation systems at the county level to make it more accessible for people to drive less and even give up their cars altogether. And not just for people who live nearby a pass station, which is what we currently see in Hudson County, is that, you know, it's very expensive to live near a pass station, and only there can you really live a fully walkable experience and a car-free lifestyle. So I, along with my running mates, my progressive running mates on the Not Me Us slate, we are hoping to invest in a bus rapid transit system on county roads with an electric fleet of buses. Bus rapid transit is by far the most cost-effective and easy to implement form of mass transit. You know, we have this county road system that is just really ripe for it. You know, we have people already living without cars and taking jitneys up and down throughout Hudson County, and it takes an hour to get from Jersey City to Weehawken. And it's 4 miles away. So I think we are all invested in improving mass transit options and making them greener and improving the quality of life for people and strengthening the economy of Hudson County as well. It shouldn't just be easy to get into New York, it should be easy to get around Hudson County in a green way. I also support a moratorium on new fossil fuel infrastructure, and I support the deployment of clean energy technologies. It was really upsetting to hear just 2 days ago, like Roger mentioned, that the state had given the go-ahead for this new fracked gas power plant in Kearney, which would pollute the air we breathe here in Jersey City, especially in my district in the Heights, which is an environmental justice community, and directly downwind of the plant, like 2 miles away. And on top of that, the plant is in a floodplain. So it's really just a bad idea all around. And I absolutely plan to continue to fight this. And already, as Roger said, we have severe problems with our air quality here in Hudson County. And he has personal firsthand experience having grown up here. And we rank in the 96th percentile, like in a bad way, 96 being bad, of counties nationwide for ground level ozone, which is a pollutant that triggers asthma attacks and reduces lung function. So not great in general, and especially not great during a respiratory pandemic. So I encourage everyone watching at home to let your elected officials know what you think about the need for environmentally healthy and climate smart investments, and support candidates up and down the ballot from the local level to the federal level that are pledging to take action on these issues, and to do so in a just and equitable way. And thanks again for joining tonight, and thanks again for having me.
Elena, I love that you talked about rainwater mitigation. I was actually someone who was supposed to jump on the call. My father is a retired well driller. So, you know, bioswales are something that, you know, is super important for rainwater mitigation in urban areas. Manhattan actually has a really great system. If you go on to nyc.gov and you look them up, you find out so much great information about it. And not only, there are woman-owned union companies in the in New Jersey who can install these throughout the state. Yeah. So, you know, we're bringing—
last year working for New York City's green infrastructure program. So very familiar.
You know. My father does the classes for the National Groundwater Association. So, so that's kind of funny that you brought that up. So, you know, um, talking about just even cleaning up, not just, you know, rapid transit and things like that. I think, you know, Hudson County, you know, there's 6 freeholders, vote line A, you know, put them all in office because they all stand for helping you between making your streets cleaner, your air cleaner, breathable, your well-being better with Medicare for all, and making your commutes easier. It shouldn't take an hour to go 2 miles. Well, thank you so much for your time. Next, we're going to go to Herb. Herb is running for Middlesex County Clerk.
That's right. Yeah, we're taking it back. We're taking back New Jersey. Not me, us, baby. Here we go. Anyway, this is about Earth Day, right? So Nikki asked me to come on and talk about Earth Day. I was in middle school when the first Earth Day was announced, and I'd never heard of anybody paying attention to the environment, but right away that made a lot of sense to me that we should be paying attention to the environment. And then later on in the 70s, I was involved in the No Nukes movement to try and ban nuclear power, and I've continued my activism in the environmental area. Last year, in fact, on my birthday, I was arrested at the U.S. Capitol in Mitch McConnell's office with the Sunrise Movement as we were protesting Mitch trying to fast track a vote on the Green New Deal to try and derail it. So anyway, environment is something very important to me. But I think that the important thing is that we have to become aware of actually what is going on. What is the truth with our environment? And because physics and chemistry don't lie, and we can see that there is a lot of damage being done to our environment, whether you look at the illnesses and the clusters of asthma and cancer in New Jersey, or just the general air quality. You know, when we have to decide whether or not this is real. And I think we can see from this pandemic and the reduction in automobile traffic that the air is markedly cleaner right now, and I don't think there's any dispute about that. And so I think this just should convince people that the environment is extremely important and is something that we do have a big effect on. It's something that we can address and we can attack. And like I think Russ was on earlier, I caught a little bit of what he was talking about. The Green New Deal is a completely holistic approach. It includes the federal jobs guarantee. It's going to be similar to what FDR had with the public works back in the, I guess, late 30s before World War II to help get us out of the Depression. And it basically takes the skills and employs people around the country in public work projects that are going to help us clean up our environment. And one thing about our elections coming up, these primary elections, we have folks in Hudson County running for freeholder. We also have freeholders running in Union County, in Middlesex County, and Camden County. I think a lot of people underestimate the effect that the freeholders can have on the environment. Remember that the county and the freeholders are responsible for all the county colleges, the county parks, the recycling, the waste management, right? All the transportation infrastructure and all types of land use decisions that are made. So the county freeholders are like one of the first lines of point of contact with the environment that we have on a local basis. So that's one way that we can really help at a local basis to try and accelerate our movement towards the Green New Deal, is by electing at the freeholder level these progressives who are running all around our state. And the way that we execute this plan, the way that we can move forward, is by getting involved. We need people to get involved at a grassroots level, right? We need people to get involved in the political process. The folks running on this slate, the Not Me, Us slate, there's really 2 primary issues that we're fighting for. Number 1 is the Green New Deal, and number 2 is Medicare for all. And unless we get people at the grassroots level involved in this electoral politics, in addition to taking other actions, we really don't have much chance, because our current politicians, you know, they're not in it for the reasons that we're in it. The progressives are in this because we believe in making a better future for everybody. Our current politicians, some of them profit from the fossil fuel industries and the pharmaceutical industries. We don't see any of our elected officials engaging in this movement for moratorium Mondays to stop the continued development of fossil fuel infrastructure in New Jersey. We never see any. I haven't seen any of the elected officials get involved in that, right? And they just don't care. Like here in Middlesex County, in New Brunswick, which is the seat of our county, the Board of Education and the City Council are conspiring essentially to close a elementary school and move the children to what is a brownfield, which is still a contaminated brownfield. And this just shows you a total lack of concern or caring about the people that are affected by their decisions to be moving children into a polluted area when they're now in a very fine school that the city just put $22 million into a couple of years ago. Well, I guess that's really what it comes down to. We really need to get involved. We need to get people involved at the local level, at the county level, to change our representation that we have. Because when we don't get involved at the local level, and this is something that Larry said at a meeting I was at a couple of months ago, when we don't get involved at the local level and start to compete for these offices, it allows folks with less than, stellar objectives to occupy these positions. And that's really what we have here in New Jersey. We have a lot of politicians who are just not caring about moving forward. We have the percentage of people that support the Green New Deal is well over 50%, and the number of candidates, or not so much candidates, the number of elected officials who support it is very minor. So there's a disconnect there, and that's why I'm running for clerk, because we need to reestablish a functioning democracy. We don't have that in New Jersey, so that the will of the people can be expressed through the elections. Right now, given the way that our elections are set up, that's just not happening. And so if we want to fix this environment and fix other things wrong with our society, we really must get people involved, and we really must fix our elections. And that's why I'm running for clerk, and I'm very supportive of all the freeholders and other congressional candidates like Zena and Russ and Hector running in New Jersey. So that's about all I had to say, Nikki, for tonight, unless there's any questions from anybody.
No questions have come in, but thank you so much, Herb. So want to thank everybody again. So Larry, Zena, Russ, Roger, Elena, and Herb jumping on tonight. Remember, you're gonna vote for everyone on July 7th under the Not Me, Us line. So in Hudson County, you're going to be on line A. In Bergen County, when you're voting for Zena, is line B. If you are in Passaic County and voting, it is also line B. If you're in Middlesex, line A. And in Monmouth, you are going to be on line B. We do ask everyone check their registration. I don't care if you think you're good, because I checked mine and my husband, and my husband was wrong. So even the people who volunteer and are in the top of the campaigns can even have problems with their voter registration. So everyone go online and check it. It's also very important, while you can, please go to your county website and get a vote by mail ballot. Some people in the Democratic complex in North Jersey are saying, no, we don't want vote by mail. But as of right now, so polls will still be open, but they can't guarantee it. So please check your voter registration, make sure your address is correct, make sure you're an affiliated Democrat, and also get that vote by mail ballot. And the second you have it, send it in. Please send it in. And if you have any problems sending it in, please reach out to info@hamforsenate.org. We'll make sure your ballot gets in. Once again, Hudson County, you're going to vote line A for Not Me, Us. In Bergen, it's going to be line B. Passaic, it is line B. Middlesex, it's line A. Essex, because a few people might be also under Essex, you are also going to be line B. And Monmouth, you are going to be line B. In a few days, we're going to be launching NotMeUsNewJersey.com, where you can get more information about each candidate. And everyone, please visit all the candidates' websites, donate to their ActBlues, because to run successful campaigns, it does take a lot of resources. And listen, we had a shot before the pandemic. We now are going to win our seats, because we are going to we're going to have our vote by mail ballots, and we are going to have a paper trail. So everyone, remember, follow all the progressive candidates and vote Not Me, Us on July 7th. Have a good evening, wash your hands, and stay safe.